You know, for the main character of the #1 manga in the world, Monkey D. Luffy seems to get a bad rap. No matter where you go, there's people talking about how simple and straightforward he is as a character, which is not untrue, but the context implies that he is just a one-note character. If it ended there, we might not need this video. I take a real problem with the concept that Luffy hasn't changed over the course of the series, which frankly speaking is insane. Luffy is easily the most complex and developed character in One Piece. Allow me to welcome you to what I assume will be a 9 or 10 part long series. Originally I just wanted to write about Luffy and Zoro, but then more characters got added to the list to the point where it made more sense just to analyze every Straw Hat crew member. All of them. So, here we go. When we first meet Luffy, we see him trying to prove himself to a group of pirates by trying to break a knife using his face. Needless to say,
it didn't go according to plan.
This, along with the rest of his introduction, shows that Luffy is rather vain. More interested in a vague idea of what a pirate is, rather than any greater attachment to its true meaning. Along with this vain outlook, there is also a false sense of bravado, worrying about being perceived as tough, rather than actually being tough. Now this base is really just a start point to contrast older Luffy against. It does work as a useful insight to the core of his personality. Obviously, Luffy takes a lot of time and danger on mere whims, but it also can show that he is willing to do anything to fulfill those desires. Once Luffy makes a decision, he follows through with it no matter what, and when he eventually is unable to fulfill one of those decisions, he snaps. I'm getting ahead of myself here though. His name is Monkey D. Luffy, and he has one desire: become Pirate King. Looking at this just on its face value doesn't say a lot, but if we contrast it against other characters, it starts to paint a picture. Zoro wants to be the world's best swordsman, so he trains relentlessly every day to achieve it. There's also an endless number of other pirates with the goal of Pirate King, and they all have things they do to achieve it. Kill, steal, manipulate, gain power, land an army. Luffy, however, doesn't do any of those things with the goal of becoming Pirate King in mind. He doesn't work hard ever, he doesn't sacrifice anything, he doesn't even try to build a crew to become Pirate King, but to rather meet some sort of quota that he feels is necessary to be considered a real pirate crew. So with this way of living, it almost makes you forget the things he actually does do right, which is his willingness to die for his conviction. This, along with his different outlook on life, is what leads to the Straw Hat crew's multiple victories over their opponents. Why would a crew go so far for something that won't support their end goal? Why would Luffy go so far to do the things he does, even though they won't get him any closer to becoming Pirate King, and might even stop him from ever reaching that goal? Simply put, every goal Luffy has is as important as becoming Pirate King. He's equally willing to put his life on the line to fight a whale, find out how mermaids poop, or discover a city in the sky, because each of these goals, to Luffy, are important, simply because he has deemed them to be worthwhile. These goals, to say the least, are sporadic, but that's because Luffy is incredibly curious. He's a boy at heart when the series starts. It's not until he becomes a man where he realizes there are things more important than some of these goals. At the start of the series, Luffy has one moment, a thing that says everything about his character you will ever need to know. Luffy is captured by enemy pirates, not just any enemy, possibly the most dangerous man to ever sail the seas, Buggy the Clown. By all means, this is the end. The strongest members of his crew aren't able to get there in time, Luffy is completely bound and there's a blade closing in on the nape of his neck. At that moment of complete loss, Luffy just looks up with a huge smile and says,
"Sorry, but I'm dead."
A willingness to die for your dream, even if it's never met, the ability to look death in the eyes with a smile. Luffy is an incredible character because he is instantly recognizable, and he has a completely iconic way of living his life. He has the strength to face anything with a smile on his face, no matter what the outcome may be. This one scene completely sums up what makes One Piece great, and if you were to ask me if Luffy was put in a similar situation again, would he act the same way? Well, to me, the answer is obvious. I can say with 100% conviction that he would not. If you think that statement sounds crazy, then you are the reason this video needed to be made. For so many years, I heard endless numbers of people talk about how Luffy hasn't changed much throughout the course of the series. This idea completely baffles me. The very most core and iconic moment of Luffy's character is now completely null and void. Beyond just that, Luffy has without a doubt changed more throughout the course of the series than any other character. Just because he doesn't act different doesn't mean he hasn't changed. And that is what we need to talk about now. The two core shifts Luffy has had since the inception of One Piece. I think it's fair to say Luffy doesn't work very hard. Throughout the course of the Blue Sea Saga, he goes up against antagonists far weaker than himself. Once he has either gotten annoyed or pissed off enough, he'll just end up knocking them out in a single hit. Luffy skims through life relying on a small amount of training his grandpa gave him, and expecting his crew to handle everything he doesn't want to have to bother with. With his own words when he talks about how he can't do anything right as a captain, that it doesn't matter, because he can kick Arlong's ass. And that's all that he needs to do. So if all the self-worth Luffy has is staked on being able to defeat the enemy captain, what happens when he can't beat them? Sure, Crocodile gave him a run for his money, but with the help of Robin, he was able to fairly easily overcome Crocky Boy. However, the first opponent that Luffy knew that he didn't stand a chance against was Rob Lucy. Having been thoroughly defeated and having his crew fractured, Luffy was faced with a choice. Continue doing things the way he had been, or change his outlook on how to live life. Luffy must look at the experiences of the past in order to understand his own capabilities. This is what Gear 2nd is born from. Luffy came to understand what fighting style fits him better, and that he must use his experience and body in a different way. Of course, assuming the first appearance of Gear 2nd in the movies was canon, but since it's been common practice for movies to go to Shonen Jump to get details on new powers early as a selling point, it's a safe assumption to make. If Gear 2nd is the past, Gear 3rd must be the present then. Luffy has to look at the present more intensely in order to survive. This is thematically shown through the fact that its drawback makes Luffy's future self unable to fight. Of course, Gear 4th is Luffy finally coming to terms with having to prepare for the future for obvious context reasons. This shows that Luffy has finally stopped floating through life expecting others to carry the weight for him. It shows that he's finally willing to take on the responsibilities of captain, even if it is short-sighted. This overall has less effect on how future events play out than one might think at first, but that in of itself is important. Even after going so far, it really didn't make that much of a difference in the end. Again, getting ahead of myself, let's jump back here to another important moment during the Water 7 arc. Usopp and Luffy have a major falling out. As we will go over in Usopp's video, neither side is correct in their exchange, but neither side is all that wrong. They both are sticking to their morals the only way they truly know how. To Luffy, as soon as Usopp took a stand against him, it was as good as an act of defiance against his goal of becoming Pirate King, and to stand in the way of that is more than enough reason to throw Usopp away. Remember, this is the thing that matters the absolute most in the world to Luffy at this moment, and to denounce his friend who stands against it is only natural. However, during the course of battling CP9, he has a slight change in perspective. It's not large, but now he realizes that he wants to reach his goal with his friends at his side, even if it means it won't always be easy. After this point, Luffy and the crew are pushed to their breaking point and back again and again, each time narrowly avoiding death. Even after changing his outlook, and finally realizing that his friends truly do matter to his dream, he one by one loses each of them, all from a decision that he made as captain. This time was not Luffy who faced death, but his crew, his friends. Instead of a smile, his face is consumed with frustration and tears. At this point, it's clear to the audience that Luffy cares more about his friends than his own life or dreams. But it still will take a little bit more for Luffy to come to the same realization. This is the irony of the Whitebeard War. This is the irony of Luffy's greatest failure. To Amazon Lily, this is where we find out that Luffy, like every other great man throughout history, doesn't got no time for no thoughts. I might personally relate to Luffy's character arc, but this here is truly relatable. Remember, if she breathes, she's a thought. Oh, FYI, Luffy has a brother named Ace, and he has been kidnapped, so Luffy's gotta go on a fun, action-packed adventure to save him. For the first time in the series, we really get a look at Luffy's past, which till this point was in a veil of mystery, especially lineage-wise. So his brother is the Pirate King's son, but his dad is Dragon, leader of the rebellion, and his grandpa is a high-ranking marine. There's a bit of a discrepancy here, I see. To really understand Luffy, we must come to understand his family. Grandpa Garp put Luffy through an intense training camp to turn him into a great marine, possibly to make up for the fact that his own son is the leader of the revolutionaries. He also is trying to do the same for the Pirate King's son, Ace. And it would seem no matter the protests from these two, he just kept going forward with his initial plan. This works out great for Luffy since he currently is the definition of a soy boy, but soon he will become a soy man through this training. There's a clear love given to Luffy by the people around him, but not a single one of them seems to be able to really understand him. This leads Luffy to put extra emphasis on seemingly the only other two people in the world who actually listen to what he has to say, his blood brothers. Sure, at first they don't have the most solid of relationships, but over time they grow fully dependent on each other. This dependence is at first considered a strength, given the fact that they were planning to sail the seas together, but soon after the loss of Sabo, they come to the realization they were overly dependent on each other. So Luffy and Ace, still having this dependent relationship, decide they will go their separate ways, so they can grow into the men they truly want and need to be. Before separating, however, each of them say what their dreams are. During this, we never hear what Luffy says his dream is. However, it's obvious they had just come up with the idea as the others were talking. I want to put the idea out there that whatever he said does not matter. Whether it was to become Pirate King or any other goal, it tells us that Luffy's goal to be Pirate King is in fact based upon a complete whim that he just came up with one day. Oh Luffy, you lovable goofball, you. Flash forward to the present, where Luffy's last surviving brother is in danger, it would make sense why he wishes to save him so desperately. And over the course of trying to save him, he reverts back mentally to where he was as a kid. And this is where a fairly controversial idea comes into play. I don't think anything over the course of Luffy's life has mattered to him as much as saving Ace. Not putting together a crew, not returning the Straw Hat, not even becoming Pirate King. Luffy in this moment cares more about saving his brother than his dream, because the bond that he shares with him goes deeper than any concept Luffy could express on his own. Saving Ace turned into more than just an obsession. It mattered to Luffy more than anything else in the world. At that moment of Ace's death, Luffy saw his world get destroyed in front of him. Absolutely nothing mattered anymore. How could it? Everything that ever mattered was just taken away from Luffy. The small boy all alone on an island with just two brothers who were both dead now. Fighting through Impel Down, going through great lengths, putting his life on the line, seeing friends sacrifice themselves, pushing past any and every limit he had on the battlefield. None of it was enough to accomplish his goal. None of it was enough to save Ace. Truly, Luffy has lost completely. That is besides one small detail. Luffy isn't that small lonely kid on an island by himself. He has set out into the world, made friends, enemies, gone on adventures, found a city in the clouds, declared war on the world, and he has formed his crew, his best friends, his family. A family that is still out there, a family of people that care about him, a family of people that he cares about, a family that he almost already lost once. In this moment of realization came two ideas. The only thing that matters more to Luffy than becoming Pirate King is his crew. And he knows if things were to just continue how they were, he wouldn't be able to protect them. History would just repeat itself. So he makes a decision. He'll put his dream on hold for 2 years, put sailing around the world with his friends off for 2 years, so that he can go from where he is now and become a captain who can protect what matters to him. To become someone strong enough to accomplish his dreams with his friends at his side. To say that this is the same person as the Luffy at the start of the series is negligible. It spits in the face of everything that has happened. Luffy is no longer a boy setting out into the world to have an adventure. He's a man on a mission and nothing is going to stop him. And if anyone dared to try, he will just overcome them. This is what it means to be a captain. This is what it means to be Pirate King. This is the path Luffy must walk, but not alone. He will walk it with his comrades, and together, they will become Pirate King. Thanks for watching the first part of this 9-part One Piece series. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a part. There's also more general content on the channel if you're interested. If you enjoyed, drop a like to let YouTube know this video is worth watching. If you want to go above and beyond to support the channel, I do have a Patreon set up. So if you want more content at a higher quality, every dollar helps. I will see you in the next video.